Shalom Aleichem, my dear brothers and sisters. In this video I would like to talk to you about depression, like what causes depression. Now, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, so obviously I could be wrong. This is just my opinion, just from observation that this is what it seems like to me. So here's what I think. In the modern world, we see that a lot of people, at least in the Western world, a lot of families don't have many kids. Sometimes people have 2 kids here, sometimes even 1, sometimes 1 kid and a dog or a cat to substitute, unfortunately. But I think that this is part of the problem. This is part of the reason why people are depressed. As you know that among the religious Jews, as many of you know probably, that we try to have, God willing, Bezrat Hashem, a lot of kids. You see families with 15, 14 kids, In fact, my wife knows a family that has 21 kids. That's the most I've heard of, at least, personally. And that's all from one wife. We're not talking about, several wives. It's all from one wife. And however, in the Western world, we see that that families are really small, either 1 kid or 2 kids. And I think that this is part of the problem, because I think when God created us, He created us in a way that we have love, meaning the way we're designed, the way we are hardwired. We are hardwired to give love, to love someone. Now, when a person has 1 or 2 kids, then obviously he loves the kids. But what happens once they grow up to a certain age? Then the kids no longer require taking care of, right? They usually become somewhat on their own, and eventually they become completely on their own. But the love that the person is supposed to give, it's still there, and it's inside, and there's no way to bring it out. However, when a person has many kids, then even when the older ones grow up, he still has the younger ones. He still has the younger ones to take care of, and he sees them grow up. And eventually, when they grow up, already the youngest ones, obviously a person cannot have kids forever, right? But when the younger ones grow up, already it comes the time when he already is starting to take care of the grandkids. So his love is constantly going. He constantly is able to take care of the little ones, and grandmas and grandpas can babysit their grandchildren, and not only babysit, they can teach them, they can tell them stories, they can teach them, and same thing with parents. And therefore, I think that this is what brings happiness to a family, to a couple, to personally to people, where they have kids and they can constantly give something over. But when a person has only 1 child, right? At first it's fun, you're able to, like I said, you raise the kids and give over your love, but eventually they grow up a little bit, and that love is kind of stuck inside, and it has no way to express yourself. And it's stuck inside, and then a person eventually, there's such a thing called midlife crisis. People when they are in their 50s or 60s, they have this midlife crisis. I'm not sure if this, but that's statistically that's what happens. And I think part of the thing is because the kids grow up, and you kind of become, you feel deep down inside, the person in a way becomes useless, feels useless. The kids grow up, they move out, and there's nothing more you able to give in this world. And it's kind of becomes, I'm not sure if statistically, it would be interesting to see if there's some kind of a specific study to see if there's families with many kids, if they have less of midlife crisis and stuff like that. As far as depression, I think it's pretty obvious that the more kids a family has, the less likely there's going to be some kind of depression or bad mood. Because the way Hashem created us, and our sages and our prophets of ancient times, Aleichem Shalom, said that that this world was created in order to work. It wasn't created for reward or for relaxation. This physical world, Alam Hazeh, was created for the sake of work, meaning that we are supposed to labor in this work. Now, when a person has big family, right? Obviously, it's a lot more responsibility. He's basically running back and forth, taking care of the family, of the kids, watching the kids, taking them to school, helping with homework. You know, he barely has time to breathe. But in a way, all that is what brings happiness. You know, a person is supposed to work. When a person just sits and does nothing, eventually this leads to depression. Even though it may seem contrary at first, but this is, I think, the way it works. You know, imagine somebody who's sitting on the couch all day and watching TV and doing nothing, absolutely. And let's say he has income. He doesn't need to work, let's say. He has income. But eventually that situation is going to bring depression. Why? Because he feels useless deep down inside. The neshama, the soul, somehow tells a person sometimes, uh, it hints to a person that, you know, you got to fix something about yourself. You're not doing something right. And sometimes it reflects as a depression. And therefore, somebody who's sitting on the couch all day and does nothing, eventually he's not going to have a good feeling. He's not going to be happy in life. But a person who's doing some stuff, you know, he runs back and forth, and he sees the fruits of his labor. He sees progress, something's being done, you know, something. Therefore, this is, you know, this is, I think, what we were designed to do, to actually work in this world, not to relax. Relaxation is only in the next world. That's when we get the reward, God willing, if we do the right thing and follow God's laws. But as far as this world, the idea of this world is to work. And that's why I think I encourage all my followers on YouTube and all my people who listen to this video. I urge, if you still have, obviously, you know, sometimes it becomes too late in life, but if you still have a chance, I urge you to try to have as many kids as possible. And don't worry about, a lot of people sometimes they don't have kids. Let's say they get married and they don't have kids because they're afraid, how am I going to take care of the kids and how I'm going to give them education. I personally think a person should not worry about that. Leave that up to God. Just keep one thing in mind. In the Torah, the first commandment we see in the Torah, where Hashem ordered Adam, alav shalom, he told him, pru urvu, be fruitful and multiply. The first commandment in the Torah is to be fruitful and multiply, meaning to have kids, to fill the world. And therefore, leave the rest to Hashem, meaning when it comes to 10, 20, 30 years down the road, how you're going to take care of the family. Just in this case, something that's not in your control, I think this is where you should rely more on Hashem. And, as long as you do your part, let Hashem do his part. And don't worry about the things that are not within your control. And don't worry what the seculars also tell you sometimes, that we need to control the population, this world is not big enough. That Hashem will take care of this as well. If needed, Hashem will expand this earth at the proper time. Thank you for watching.